one.
Good morning. Thank you, Professor, for reviewing our peer review of Group 4's presentation for the Thai financial crisis. My name is Marcia Gaster. I'm a Cigna employee, and I work for our Global Procurement, Third-Party Management, and Shared Services Department, and I'm passing the mic to Cassandra.
Thanks, Marissa. Hi, Professor. This is Cassandra Gravina. I'm also sitting in the Cigna group doing operations advisor role and the chief of staff in the Evernorth umbrella. I will pass the mic to Elizabeth.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Heffley. I work for the Express Scripts side as a rebate specialist, and I will pass the mic to Seth.
Hi, my name is Yaduraman. I work for India for Cigna Healthcare as a software lead analyst in technology department. I pass on the mic to Stacy.
Good morning. My name is Stacy Lehman. I am the Director of National Account Management, and I am also with the Cigna Group. And today we're going to start our presentation. We are Group 3, and this is our peer review of Group 4's presentation on the case study, Thai Financial Crisis of 1997. As we move into the presentation, we'll hear Group 3 members cover content, flow, structure, as well as key takeaways, and provide overall feedback on Group 4's presentation. We'll divide our comments into pros, where we felt Group 4 was strong, and cons, where we felt Group 3's work provided a more in-depth analysis. Turn it over to you, Cassandra.
Thanks, Stacy. Appreciate the transition there. Hi, Professor. Again, this is Cassandra. The first on our doc and our agenda is to give feedback on the question in front of you, which is the best policy for Thai government with respect to the BOT in May 1997, which is defending the float within the ban and the value or the float freely. And a couple of comments here for the group, for Group 4. I want to make sure I got that right. But the students gave a summary of the 1997 Thai financial crisis, which was great, with captivating key events and structural issues as well, including the speculative attack in the baht and the central bank of 10 billion defense of the currency peg. Some of the kudos and opportunity of enhancement that we would like to showcase for that group is that we'll start off with the kudos. The kudos started with a consistent timeline. So they were very concise, clear and overall overview of the events in the May to June 1997. And then they had key lessons identified where they highlighted the risks and the rigid exchange rates regimes and the poor monetary policies. They also went to structural vulnerabilities, which was a good mention on the overinvestment and declining of the competitiveness in the labor-intensive sectors. And lastly, they also mentioned the speculative pressures, right? So inclusion of figures like George Soros adds realism to speculative dynamics. We did have 2 opportunities for enhancement for this group. Overall, it was super great in terms of details and the question, but in terms of opportunities, we saw that exchange rate strategy was one of them, where the group proposed allowing the BOT float within the broader band and with the middle ground approach that could reduce volatility and preserve stability. And the second one here is the monetary constraints. The students did a really great job in noting that, but the fixed rate limited flexibility. But our group extended a little bit more in how it led to inflation and overall asset bubbles. So these are a couple of things that we thought for feedback that was appropriate for this question for the group. I'm going to go into the next slide here, which is question number 3 on the winners and losers from the lower parity. And the kudos that we had for here were listed, as you see, they had clear structure, focus analysis, and very concise and professional tone. And the students responded really well and organized, and the breakdowns of winners and losers like we did in our presentation. And again, that focus analysis and the presenter were effectively highlighted in the impact of the current depreciation on the dynamics. And then we had one opportunity of enhancement here, which is the sector diversity. While the students focus on the producers and consumers, they were very strong, but expanding a little bit and slightly that included the sector like this and the financial sector, like we did, would have been a little bit more helpful. But holistically, these two questions in question 1, question 3 were fantastic. So I will go ahead and pass the mic to Elizabeth.
Hi, actually passing the mic to Marissa, not Elizabeth. I'm going to cover question 7 and question 8. So we're starting with our feedback for question 7. What would have happened if Thailand had adopted the US dollar as its currency rather than pegging the baht to it? So starting with identifying those kudos and strengths for group 4. So they had very clearly defined potential advantages and a setback if Thailand had made the decision to adopt the US dollar as its currency. Their analysis was very succinct, and they did a great job explaining the potential effects that they had identified of adopting the US dollar. So they did a great job with the information that they had presented. I would say that additional opportunities for enhancement, our group 3, our analysis, this question was a bit more thorough. We included more details and more advantages and setbacks for pegging the baht, or sorry, for adopting the US dollar rather than pegging the baht to it. And they correctly identified some of those potential effects, but they failed to mention that overall point that the advantages that were identified by both our group 3 and group 4, the presentation that we are peer reviewing, that those advantages would be short-lived, and that the future of Thailand that would have severely limited their ability to respond to other financial crises that they may experience in the future. So I do think that there was room for improvement in the additional details that they could have provided in their analysis, but overall they had a great structure and flow, and their slides were very easy to understand, and they spoke to the analysis points that they identified very clearly and explained very well. Next slide, please. Thank you so much. So we're now focusing on question 8, and this is that punishment crime question. Knowing what happened in Thailand subsequently from the financial crisis, does the punishment fit the crime? I would say that it's some pros or kudos and strengths, another way to put it. Is their analysis of the aftermath. Group 4 had a really clear, accurate, and brief but all-encompassing overview of the collapse of the baht and how it affected namely the Thai financial system, including the financial firms and the stock market. I would say that this is one of the questions that I think our groups had a differing opinion on. Group 4 ended up saying that the punishment did fit the crime, while our group 3, felt that the punishment did not fit the crime. And I think opportunities for enhancement that may have led them to the same conclusion as our group, rather than concluding that the punishment did fit the crime, is that they could have done a deeper reflection on how that financial crisis affected the average Thai citizen. Our group 3, felt that that was a very important reflection point in understanding, who was actually affected at the end of the day, and that really drove our conclusion for does the punishment fit the crime. And because group 4 didn't talk about, the average citizen, at least from what we could see, because their presentation did cut off, which I'll get into in just a moment. But we felt that doing that additional analysis and doing that additional, considering that additional viewpoint and that deeper reflection might have led them to the same conclusion as us, because the average citizen did suffer the most, and that is a very important point to consider when thinking about this question. And then the second opportunity for enhancement for group 4 is just making sure that there's a thorough review of your final product. We weren't actually able to give a more deeper reflection on this question and on the content for this question for group 4, because their presentation did cut out. And while their actual PowerPoint, their presentation was great going through because it wasn't so busy, there weren't so many words on the slides, not having that information limited our ability to analyze their work because their recording cut out. So I think those would be those 2 points for opportunities for enhancement. And then again, I feel they did a great job presenting a clear look back on that crisis to get into their reasoning and their explanation for the answer to this question. And now I will pass to Elizabeth.
Great. So I will be going over the flow and structure comparison. All team members in each group were included in the presentation, properly dressed and knowledgeable on the topic. The flow of the presentation and handoff to each member of the group was smooth and well rehearsed. The presentations were also well organized and attractive, and the agenda slide on the peer group was a good addition that we did not include. Presenters were energetic and paced their presentation, and they also had good inflection. The PowerPoint was engaging and pleasing to the viewers, as well as provided key insights about the case. An opportunity for enhancement would be that their analysis and presentation cut off at the end, and that their presentation was a little bit more surface knowledge than in-depth information. The abrupt ending was a little confusing for our team as well, even though they had a few more minutes left. Next slide. Key takeaway comparisons. Group 4 had similar insights that were gained by both teams regarding the topic. It was great to hear their takeaways and compare and contrast their presentation style to ours. And watching their presentation also improved my future presentations. Group 3 had a little bit more, so our team had a little bit more in-depth discussion on a few of the items and additional points, for example, in the winners and losers section. And of course, as Marissa stated, the difference in question 8's answer. And I will pass it over to Seth.
Hey, hi. So overall feedback is the major strength of the peer group is the peer group delivered a clear and well-structured narrative of the 1997 Thai financial crisis. And their analysis was very good and supported by relevant examples. The presentation was visually appealing and the presenters maintained good energy and engagement throughout. So these are the major strengths of our peer group. Whereas the suggestions for improvement is they could have made the analysis even more comprehensive by including the role of international institution and the long-term implication of policy decisions for Thailand. And what we found when we see the presentation is adding a chart or numerical data or comparative visuals would have made the presentation even more appealing to all the users. And finally, the video ended abruptly. A soft closing statement such as, "This concludes our presentation today. Thank you for this opportunity," would have provided a polished finish for their presentation at the end. Whereas these are the suggestions for improvement for the peer group. So with respect to our group's strength, how we did the same scenario is our group was able to provide detailed insight and in-depth analysis, which added significant value to the discussion comparison. That's what we felt compared to the peer group. To wrap it up, we appreciate Group 4's clear and engaging presentation. While the analysis was strong, adding more depth, visuals, and a polished closing would make it even more impactful. So that's it from my end. Next, I pass it to the closing remarks for Jessie. Thanks.
Thank you, Seth. This concludes our peer review presentation today. On behalf of Group 3, we would like to thank our professor for this opportunity and Group 4 for their outstanding presentation of the Thai financial crisis. We wish you all the best of luck in your continued studies. Thank you.